struggles. All right, so getting a little video. Took Sunny, and this is Bella, a boarding dog, over to the park. And I want to show you what we've been working on with him. So we like going to this park out in West Jordan. It's nice and big, and it has some nice playgrounds and pickleball courts and baseball fields, and it also has a dog park. And so what we've been doing is taking him to places where we see other dogs, because that's where I'm seeing his biggest struggle. It's not with dogs that are in the same household as him. So Bella has been here for a while, and Sunny and her know each other really well. It's just when we see other dogs out in public, out in the wild, if you will. So if we see him like running around, playing fetch on a walk, barking at us behind a fence, all the different ways we can come in contact with other dogs, he has a hard time thinking about the obedience. And so when we see that, we purposely put him in those scenarios so that we can teach him how to resolve what we would say training pressure, which allows the dog to have an understanding of what to do, how to behave when we're around other dogs. And so training pressure comes on when a dog is not listening to the commands at hand. So whether that's like a recall or the heel position or a sit or a down, we want to make sure that the pressure is appropriately being applied and taken away at the correct time. So what that would look like is, if a dog is not heeling with me, I'm going to press the e-collar, if they know what the e-collar means, and make sure that once that dog is in the correct position, the e-collar goes away. So the first time I say Sunny heel, there's no pressure. But from that point on, if he's forging ahead, if he's not paying attention, he doesn't have to look at me, but I don't want him sniffing the ground and veering off and fixating on stuff. He's got to walk next to me politely, like he's doing right now, and how Bella is. So they need to be somewhat tucked in, but I don't want them sniffing. And when I stop, I want him to SIT. So no, heel. If he doesn't sit where he chose to lay down, he's not paying attention enough to be able to comply. And so I need to have some kind of training pressure in order to get that compliance. So what I'm seeing with Sunny is when there's other dogs around, he does what we call either displacement behavior or protests. And so displacement behavior is when a dog hears what you're saying, like come, heel, sit, down, place, and they're avoiding looking at you. They're sniffing the ground. They're still kind of veering off somewhere else to fixate on something else. And so when it comes from a place of stress, he's like, no, like I would rather be focused on this than listen to your commands. And so this is where the e-collar would come into play. Now, sometimes with Sunny, I see that he has a tendency, if he feels like it's not fair, which doesn't mean that it isn't unfair, he just feels that way, he will bark at the e-collar, or he'll bark at us to try to get us to stop making him do obedience. And so it's not something I see when there's just people, it's something I see when there's other dogs. And so that tells me that he has a huge drive to go run up to another dog. So we need to be really aware of that, catch things early, because he would rather bark and run up to the other dog. He's not barking at the dog, he's barking at us for correcting him. Sunny, heel. Bella, heel. But we want to make sure, Bella, let's put you on the outside, girl. We just want to make sure that we're following through, where it does, you can bark at me all day, but I'm not going to deal with the tantrums, right? So I don't need to get crazy and get like intense with the e-collar, but I'm going to keep the e-collar on until I actually get what I need from him. So I haven't been able to catch it on camera, but I'm hoping that on Sunday we're able to set up a scenario like that where you can kind of see what that looks like. And it's really only in the presence of other dogs. He doesn't do that in the house. He doesn't really do that on walks. He did great on our little off-leash adventure yesterday, but we didn't come into contact with any dogs out there. So I'm purposely, the last little bit that he's with me, getting him out and working specifically on that so that his brain knows how to operate when we are with other dogs, and he understands even though the situation has changed, even though the dynamic is different, and you have a desire to go run up to that dog. He's sniffing right here, so I'm going to say heel and back away and use e-collar until he stops. So even though all of these things change, the rules don't. So that's a way to keep a dog really safe. They're not safe if they ignore you and chase after another dog, right? Because we risk dogs attacking him, or heaven forbid him getting hit by a car. And there's so much urgency we need to have with him of, it's really important that you come, and it's really important that you heel. And I'd like him to be able to do more things off leash, but I want to make sure that we work through these things first. So that's where we're at with Mr. Sunny. And other than that, he's doing really good. So he's doing good.